what about micronutrients, some of the new developments?
There's a lot of interest in micronutrients. We've talked about the three major nutrients of N, P, and K, as they're known from their chemical symbols. But there are a lot of other products which are very, very important in crop growth and in human and animal growth as well. And these are called micronutrients, the sort of secondary nutrients. One of the main ones is sulfur. And it's quite ironic that the world's attempts to reduce acid rain has meant that an increasing number of areas have become sulfur deficient because farmers used to get their sulfur for free in acid rain. Now they've got to buy it and put it on the ground. And then we've got other products, for example, magnesium, zinc, and a range of other minerals which are, one, important for plant growth, but two, also important for animal and human health. Zinc deficiency is a particular problem in the developing world, and by adding micronutrients in fertilizer formulations, it helps the crop, improves the health of the crop and the growth of the crop, but also ends up in the food stuff as well and cures some of these deficiencies. And there's a lot of interest in putting more micronutrients into fertilizers. A couple of the major fertilizer companies have had development programs to do this. And there's two things. One, they're improving their product, and also fertilizers are essentially very much commoditized in terms of its price, and you can differentiate your product by giving them a value-added part. It's good all round for the industry and for the human health.
So that's an exciting new development. Finally, would you like to talk about organics? I mean, some people say, well, this is all very well, but what about the environmental costs of fertilizers? And you have the fertilizer people on one side, you have organics and biodynamic farmers saying, let's go more natural. Given the need to feed the planet, how do you see that debate playing out?
Well, if you talk to anybody in the fertilizer industry, they're not against using organic nutrients. In fact, the key mantra that we say is that basically you use all available organic fertilizers first. That's your first stop, and that you're recycling crop waste, you're recycling animal waste and manures, and that makes sense. But in terms of the food we need to produce, and it's not just food, it's food and fibers and oils and so on. In terms of what you need to produce, organic matter can probably only supply around half of the nutrient requirements. So if you didn't have mineral fertilizers, crop yields would be roughly half of what they are. Now, and so yes, use organic, but the difference is when you come to say, no, we want to be pure organic. And if you did that, there would be several things you would do. If you weren't using mineral fertilizers, it would mean that your crop production was less intense. Now, given the same population, that would mean you'd have to use more land. So you're then damaging biodiversity. You're having to use grasslands, you're having to clear forests to grow enough food. And using mineral fertilizers enables you to get more production from the same amount of land. So the term being used now is sustainable intensification, where you're not doing anything sustainable because fertilizer production is sustainable for the reasons we've talked about. And what you're saying is you get the most out of your land. You maintain good nutrient balances, so you maintain the quality of the soil by a mixture of using organic matter supplemented by mineral fertilizers. So you keep your soil healthy and productive. And in areas where the climate permits it, by doing that, you can double the amount of virtual land, if you like, by double or even triple cropping. Because you're not just growing one crop a year and then growing a crop that puts nutrients back, that fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere. But what you're saying is, no, if we can apply mineral fertilizers, we can get more out of the land. So it's being efficient without damaging the environment. And the industry has what they call the 4R stewardship, which talks about applying the right fertilizer in the right way, in the right place at the right time, to make the most of that fertilizer and grow efficiently. I think, for organic agriculture is really, it's a niche. If you feel very strongly about using what they would call as chemicals, but in fact organic agriculture uses a vast range of chemicals. They don't just call them chemicals, because when it comes down to it, everything's a chemical. And that's fine, it's a niche, and if people want to pay a premium. But the organic movement tells its members you can make more because organic food gets a premium. It gets a premium because it's inefficient. If everybody had to grow out organically, there would be a massive premium, and for everybody. And of course, the ones who would suffer the most are particularly poor countries, developing countries. So, as a niche, yes, but as a way to feed the world, it would result in more forest clearance and reduced biodiversity, whereas integrated nutrient management using organic fertilizers and mineral fertilizers together optimizes production with the minimum impact on the environment. So, I would argue that fertilizers have a lot of environmental benefits. Mining sites aren't pretty, but clearing forests is less so.
Quite. Well, thank you very much, Barry.
Thank you.
For any further information, please contact Barry Bain at Ferticon.